In between July 2022 and July 2023, I made $225,000, and this is how I spent my money. What's up, guys? It is your boy Jerome back at it with another video. Last week, I talked to you guys about how much money I made as an investment banker in just 12 months. And yes, it was a lot of money. But this week, we're going to talk about how much of that money I actually spent and how much I saved. And if you haven't watched last week's video, pause this video right now and go watch it. I'll wait. I'm not wearing a watch, but go watch it. Now that you're back, you know that in my 12 months as an investment banking associate, plus about 10 weeks of a summer internship, I made a little bit north of $300,000. That was including my base salary of $175,000, my signing bonus of $50,000, my performance bonus of another $50,000, and of course my internship income of another $30,000. Before we get into this video, two important caveats that I want to point out. That is my internship money and my signing bonus. When I got both of those checks, I was still in my MBA program. All of that money, my signing bonus and all of my internship money, I spent all of that money before I even started working full time. But all that to say, we're not going to include that in my last 12 months that I spent my salary as an investment banker. Maybe it would have been just easier to say that we're only going to be looking at the $225,000 that I made in the last 12 months. So base salary plus performance bonus. But I love making things complicated. We're going to break this video into 5 different parts. 1, my pre-tax contributions. 2, the taxes that I paid. 3, my savings and investments. Number 4, my non-discretionary expenses, and lastly, my discretionary fun expenses. So let's start off by talking about my pre-tax contributions. So that's gonna be 2 main things, my 401k contributions and what I paid for my benefits. For those of you that aren't familiar, I'll just explain it really quickly. These are all gonna be things that are taken directly out of your paycheck before it even comes to your bank account, and oftentimes they're tax-free. Especially your 401k, if your company offers a traditional 401k, then you should always try to maximize that as much as you possibly can, because that way you'll be paying less in taxes, and oftentimes companies will match your 401k contribution up to a certain percent. By maximizing your contribution, you're actually getting free money from your company as well. For me, I tried to contribute about 10% of my total salary plus bonus, and so that comes out to about $22,500. And remember that that's technically over 2 calendar years because it was 6 months in 2022 and 6 months in 2023, so no, I did not go over any sort of maximum contribution limit for a single year. For benefits, I paid over the course of that year about $1,500 or so. The firm that I worked for offered pretty good health insurance, and so those monthly premiums and everything were on the lower side, so $1,500 for that. In total, on pre-tax contributions, I paid $24,000 for the 12 months, or about 11% of my total income. After that, we are left with $201,000, which is our taxable income, and that's what we're going to be paying our taxes out of. As you would expect, taxes make up the overwhelming majority of my expenses. And before I get into actually how much I paid in taxes, let's just explain how taxes work to all of those that might be wondering. Your taxes are made up of 3 different parts. You've got your federal income tax, you've got your state income tax, and of course you've got your FICA tax, which is your Social Security and Medicare tax. Now, all 3 of these taxes are treated ever so slightly differently for your traditional salary versus any supplemental income or performance bonuses that you may get. So I'll explain the differences in those 2 as we go through this. Let's just go ahead and split up my regular ordinary income and my bonus. So after my pre-tax contributions, my regular income is $154,000 and my bonus income is $47,000. If you're here on this channel, I assume that you probably already know how our tax buckets work and how they're graduated, but for those of you that may be wondering, let's just break it down super quickly. The way that our tax system works is that you've got different buckets that your income can fall into, and you pay different amounts of tax in those buckets. But you only pay more for each additional dollar that you make on top of the previous bucket. So for example, the lowest bucket is from $0 to $11,000, you'll be paying 10% in tax. The next bucket, from $11,000 to $45,000, you'll be paying 12%. Then from $45,000 to $95,000, 22%, and so on and so forth. So with my $154,000 of ordinary regular income, I paid $35,400 in federal income taxes. I know, it honestly makes me really sad to think about. Bonuses are treated ever so slightly differently in that all bonuses are taxed at a flat 22% across the board. No buckets, no nothing like that, just 22%. So on my $47,000 of taxable bonus, I paid $7,300 in federal income tax. Next, you've got state taxes. For me, I live in Virginia, which has a similar to the federal tax bracket style, a graduated range with several different buckets ranging from 2% to 5.75%. So again, out of my ordinary regular income of $154,000, I paid $8,600 in state tax. Bonuses, again, are taxed slightly differently in that they're taxed at the highest 5.75% across the board. So of my $47,000 of taxable bonus, I paid $2,600 in state income tax. Next, you have your FICA taxes, which are Social Security and Medicare. So for Social Security, you have to pay 6.2% of every dollar that you make up to $160,000. No differentiation between ordinary income or bonus income, just up to $160,000. Unfortunately, again, for me, this is over the course of 2 calendar years, meaning I didn't actually hit that $160,000 maximum per year or whatever. And so I had to pay the 6.2% on the full $201,000 taxable income. So that makes up about another $12,500 in Social Security tax. Lastly, you've got Medicare, which you owe 1.45% on every dollar that you make up to $200,000, and anything over $200,000, you owe 2.35%. Again, since it's over 2 calendar years, I didn't actually hit that $200,000 threshold, so my entire taxable income was taxed at the 1.45% rate, or another $3,000. That means in total on just taxes, I paid in the last 12 months $69,500, and what we've got remaining after that is $131,500. That is a lot of money. But of course, super gracious that I was able to get this opportunity to get a job like this that allows me to pay that much in taxes and still have so much left over. Next, we've got savings and investments. This category is actually pretty simple. I just had my paycheck set up to automatically deduct 20% of my take-home pay. So that's after my pre-tax contributions, after I pay my taxes, 20% of that what's remaining, and just split that 50-50 across my Marcus high yield savings account and my Fidelity brokerage account. And I think I did miss like a week or two or something happened, so the numbers aren't perfectly aligned, but I ended up with $13,000 in my Marcus savings account and $12,500 in my Fidelity brokerage account. And if you guys want to know what kinds of investments I've been making, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, and just maybe I'll share my secrets with you. I don't know why I said it like that. So after this $25,500 of savings, which is about 11% of my total income, we're finally down to $106,000 remaining for all of my non-discretionary and discretionary living expenses. So the things that I'm considering as non-discretionary expenses here are things like my rent, student loans, anything that I have to pay no matter what, and it's not like an optional payment of any sort. And Obviously, as not a shocker to anyone watching this video, I clearly splurged in a lot of these categories, so don't think that you're gonna have to be paying this much. First, let's talk about student loans. For my MBA program, which costs nearly $70,000 a year just on tuition, even after about $30,000 of scholarship, I had a student loan bill of about $111,000 when I graduated. Like I mentioned before, all of my living expenses during that time was just savings that I had from my previous job. And so this $111,000 is the only thing that I had to take out in student loans. I know federal loans have been paused for a while now and actually are restarting this month. But unfortunately for me, I took out a bunch of private loans because the interest rates back then were lower and I thought I was making a good choice. But anyway, I have been making payments on those private loans since back in February of 2023. The monthly minimum that I owed was about $700, and then I actually put about 80% of my performance bonus into trying to pay off some of these student loans. So in the last 12 months, I have paid off $24,500 in student loans, or about 11% of my income. Next up, we've got rent. So where I lived in Virginia, I lived in one of those like semi-luxury type apartments, and the rent per month was about $1,900. Now, this includes base rent plus parking fee, amenities fee, water, sewer, that kind of stuff. And so in total, I paid $25,000 in rent, or again, 11% of my income. Next, we have to make sure the utilities actually work to live at this place. And so that's gonna be like electricity, Wi-Fi. I actually included in this the cost of my cell phone bill, which I send to my mom every month to cover my portion of the family bill. And all that together comes out to about $320 a month, or $4,200. Next up and last for this section is any sort of automotive expenses. So that's gonna be like my gas, oil changes, any sort of maintenance for the car, which a couple months ago, I just had to pay $500 just to get my sensor realigned for the cruise control, which is absolutely ridiculous. But most importantly, car insurance and my regular car payment as well. I'm also very happy to announce that I was able to use the rest of my bonus money to fully pay off my car. And so I don't have a payment anymore. All that to say, over the last 12 months, I've spent $10,750 on my car, or about 5% of my total salary. So the total for non-discretionary expenses by themselves is $64,450, which comes out to a whopping 29% of my income. That leaves me with about $41,550 of my own spending money. I like to call it my play money, but let's remember I haven't eaten yet. So we'll find out how much I ate in the next section. This last section is the discretionary expenses that I had over the last year. So that's gonna be food, shopping and entertainment, travel, and actually the money that I have invested into this YouTube channel to bring you guys these videos. And I guess realistically, food should be like half non-discretionary, half discretionary, because it's not like all of the food is just eating out or going to bars. A lot of it is, but not all of it. Some of it is like groceries and like actual just regular everyday food. But honestly, for the sake of this video, just to make the math a little bit easier, I've grouped all of the food in together here. Why does it even matter? Most of this amount is not groceries. It's a lot of eating out and going to bars. I'm not gonna lie, this one was a real shocker to me. I was not expecting to have spent this much money on food in the last 12 months, but in the last 12 months, I spent $17,500, or nearly 8% of my income just on food. Before you guys go judging me, let me at least try to defend myself a little bit here. I love great food and I travel a lot, and it's really hard not to eat out when you travel, or if you have the, occasional $200 date night, or, 20 of those. But don't judge me. Also, going out to bars and buying around for all your friends really adds up, so sorry to all my homies, but I'm not buying your drinks anymore. The second largest category in this discretionary expenses section is shopping and entertainment. I think a major contributor to this section is all of the new work clothes that I had to buy to feel presentable at an investment bank, but still it's a lot of money. Plus I did the whole Smile Direct Club to get these beautiful teeth, and that costs about $2,000, and obviously the, no big deal $50 Amazon order, doing that 100 times really adds up. This category also includes birthday presents and wedding presents, so it's not all just me being selfish, okay? I like to think about other people too. Probably not great to say all that while sitting right in front of my two most expensive pairs of shoes that I own. Yeah, realizing that now. Look, I just really like shoes, okay? And if I added up how much I've spent on shoes since 2016, it's really not that bad. It's probably only $6,000 or $7,000. On shopping and entertainment, I spent a grand total of $14,550, or 6.5% of my total income. Next, we've got travel, which I do a lot of. We've got Atlanta, Nashville. I go to Knoxville probably once a month, Chicago, and so on and so on. On travel, so basically just hotels and flights, I spent a grand total of $4,500, or 2% of my income. And lastly, I've spent the remainder of my income on making this YouTube channel better. That's investing in equipment, making my own LLC, anything I can do to bring you guys the best possible content. Hopefully all of that is paying off, and you guys can really tell in the quality of these videos as well as the Rome's Room podcast. But I have invested in the last 12 months about $5,000 into this YouTube channel. In total, on discretionary expenses, I have spent about $41,550, which sounds like an insane amount of money, but that's actually only 18.5% of my overall income, which if you follow that whole golden rule of, make your discretionary expenses less than 30% of your income, I'm still well below that. So that is how I've spent my total $225,000 salary over the last 12 months. The top three of those categories obviously being taxes, my rent, and my student loan bill. And just those three make up over $120,000. And remember, I did in fact save that 20% at the very beginning between my savings account and my brokerage account. So I'm doing okay on that front too. And the goal is hopefully whenever I finish off these student loans, which once these federal loans hit will be about $1,000 a month, if not more, then that'll be $1,000 going into my pocket. But honestly, I still have $95,000 left to pay off, so it might be a while. If you guys like that video, make sure to smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and leave some comments about how you're spending your money. Am I spending too much, too little? I don't know. You tell me. As always, my name's Jerome, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Wait.